Hi, I'm Jim Moreno. I own Northern California Whole House Fans. We just put in a quiet cool into a McEwen fourplex, and it works really nice in here. Got plenty of attic space, plenty of ventilation. This is a 2-story, so on the 2nd story it gets extremely warm, and this is a good way to be able to cool that down. So on the quiet cools, they're quiet, they're efficient, they're the most energy efficient quiet, whole house fan on the market. We put a 5.5 Stealth Pro in this one. It may be a little oversized for these, but I think this one works really well for this complex, because not only is it going to cool your attic space, it's cooling your neighbor's attic space along with that. So there's 3 complexes that share the same attic space. So with the quiet cools, they're extremely quiet. So I'm going to turn it on, and then I'll be able to show you. And this is the remote that comes with it. So this has a high, medium, and low, and the 5.5 Stealth Pro is a 3-speed fan. So you just hit the button, it'll tell you where it's at, and then you just hit the controls, and it's on high right now for 1 hour. And then you'll hear this thing kind of kick open, maybe. So that's full speed with the 5.5. So this fan right now is moving about 5,000 cubic feet of air per minute. And with this complex only being around 900, that means it's exchanging the air in here about every 1.5 minutes or 2 minutes, which is really good. So that's kind of what you're looking at. When you go to shut this off, you just wake it up one more time. It tells you where it's at. But to shut this off, if you don't let it time out, you got to cycle all the way through until the last button, and then it'll shut off. So once it shuts off, then you'll hear the dampers maybe open and close a little bit, but these have insulated dampeners on them, so you don't see on this fan the shutters open and close like you do on a lot of other fans. And with this fan, it's a duct fan, so that means that the fan is further away and it's ducted up into the attic, and then there's an insulated duct that comes down to what we call a dampener box. And inside that dampener box are insulated panels that open and close, so they're forced air open, forced air open, and then they just close. So it's just airflow operated. So best way to determine how a whole house fan works for you is you typically look at square footage, and then you divide that, or you multiply that by the by the height of your ceilings. So you look at your square footage, average height of your ceilings, you'll get cubic feet of space. To determine cubic feet of space, you look at the size, the square footage of the house times the average height of the ceilings, and you just multiply that and you'll get cubic feet of space. And then you look at cubic feet of air per minute when it comes to a whole house fan, and you just divide it to come up with a minute, how fast you exchange the rate. So typically you want to be in that 3-minute range. You can get up to 5 minutes depending on the size of your house, but 3 to 5 minutes is a pretty good range for a whole house fan. So how a fan works is actually you open up windows, you pull the air in, and it forces the air out of your attic vents. So you're not only cooling your area in your house, but you're cooling the attic space. In 2-story houses, the best way to, in 2-story houses, when you're cooling your attic space, what you're really trying to do is you're trying to cool down the insulation, because the insulation is the buffer between the attic heat and the ceiling, which the ceiling then becomes a thermal blanket. So if you run a whole house fan on a regular basis, you're able to take that thermal blanket off the ceiling of your house. And so in a 2-story house, you have heat from downstairs rising, you have the heat in the attic, so you have this little hot box. And so what you're trying to do is eliminate that, and you eliminate that by opening up your windows, bringing that cool air in, and cooling down that attic space at the same time. So when you're looking at airflow and you're looking at trying to move the air, what you want to do is you want to open up strategic windows, bedroom windows, but you want to keep them narrowed down. Typically I tell customers 6 to 12 inches. And the reason for that is if you're moving air through a big space, it doesn't have to move as fast as if you're running it through a small space. So same amount of air through a smaller space has to move faster, and that's what you're really looking for with a whole house fan, is trying to drive that air through your house and get it moving at speed, because the faster the air moves, the bigger wind chill you're getting, so it's cooling out off the air. And so all that air is going to direct right to the whole house fan. It's going to go out the whole house fan, and it's going to go out your attic vents. So that's how it's cooling your house and your attic at the same time. So what I'm showing this customer is that to open up these bedroom windows, you really want to only open them, 6 to 12 inches or so. And when you open up the window 6 to 12 inches, and then you turn the fan on, you're going to really feel that force of air coming through here, because, and you can see how this is starting to stand up here, and it's because it's moving the air through a smaller space. But if we open up this window all the way, you're still moving the same amount of air, it's just not going to move as fast. And so what you want to do is you want to narrow the windows down, and then you really get that driving force of air. And then what you can do is you take this one, you can move it down a little bit more, and then you can open up more, and it's going to divide the amount of air that's coming through here through a few different windows. So it's not going to be quite as forceful right now as coming through here, but it's still going to be moving the air quite a bit. So that's what we're really looking for whole house fans, is dividing the air by windows, cross ventilating, and then be able to cool the entire structure. Because again, at the same time it's cooling the structure, it's also taking the thermal blanket off the ceiling of your house. And that's what you're really trying to do with the two-story house, is take that boxed heat that's coming in from downstairs and that box heat that's coming in from upstairs, and taking all the heat out of this little box, and you're going to sleep very comfortably at night.